protection is not just about I want to be in the good books of the government. It's about your business. Data is valuable.
Hello, everyone. I am Amaka Samuel Uyani, and welcome to the Anderson chat room, where we discuss all things relating to doing business in Nigeria. In February 2024, the Nigerian Data Protection Commission issued a circular requiring data controllers to register on or before the 30th of June 2024. Now, since the issuance of the circular, many companies have been rushing to register, and some companies not so much. Now, today with me, I have Patience Aliu, a manager in the regulatory unit at Anderson, to discuss this circular and all things data protection. Welcome, Patience, to the chat room.
Thank you for having me, Amaka.
Thank you for being here. Now, before we go into this particular circular, let's talk about data protection obligations in Nigeria.
All right. Thank you very much, Amaka. Again. So when we talk about data protection in Nigeria, just know that the underlying act or the law that governs data privacy in Nigeria is the Nigerian Data Protection Act. And, under the act and, other governing laws with respect to data privacy in Nigeria, some compliance obligations include the conduct of an audit. Every year, organizations are required to conduct data privacy audits. So what the audit entails is for you to just look through the past 1 year, how have we handled people's personal data? And then you file a report with the Data Protection Commission. That's the regulator on or before 15th of March, every year. So that's the ongoing compliance obligation. And, data privacy is in Nigeria just to ensure that businesses protect the personal data of individuals, protect the rights to privacy of individuals. And we should note that data privacy is not just something happening in Nigeria, it's an ongoing global conversation.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you for that. Now, you talked about companies that are required to conduct an audit. Now, is it every company that is required to conduct an audit? And most importantly, are government parastatals also required to conduct this audit?
Okay, so when we talk about the audits, if you look at the wordings of the data protection laws, we would say all companies are required to conduct this audit. But are all companies required to file? There's a threshold for filing. Okay? And the threshold would be if you are an organization that processes personal data of individuals up to 1,000 individuals within a 6-month period. That is the threshold for filing, under the law. However, we've had organizations who don't even meet this threshold, but still want to comply. You want to pay the good books, then you can go ahead, do your audit and file your returns with the government. And these organizations cover both, companies, small companies, big companies, partnerships, business names, and even government parastatals, so long as you process personal data of individuals.
Right. Thank you, Patience. Now, talking about personal data of individuals, the truth is that we share personal data basically on a day-to-day basis. Now, we share with our phones, we share it everywhere in schools. People are constantly asking us to fill forms and share information about your address. Personal information is generally out there. But we also know that in Nigeria, there has been significant breaches in terms of information going out there that are not, supposed to be out there, basically. So in this regulation or law, is there any penalty for failing to, maybe data breach or failing to file, or are there any penalties? Is there a repercussion for a company, not complying with the law?
Oh, yes, definitely. When there is a law, there are penalties. Where there is law, there are, repercussions for not applying with the law. But before we even go into talking about what are the penalties for not compliance, I think what I like to tell businesses is that you should know that this data protection is not just about, I want to be in the good books of the government. It's about your business. Data is valuable. Okay, we have the biggest companies in the world being those that trade in data, basically. So it's a tool of trade for many businesses. And not just that, if you protect personal data, people are more likely to do business with you. Because just as you said, nobody wants to do business. I don't want to invest in an organization and tomorrow all of my personal details are out there on the front pages of the newspaper. Okay, so when you protect personal data, it's good for your business. Okay. However, and also, if you do not protect personal data, there are legal implications to it. Okay, so under the law, you could pay you could be liable to a fine of up to 2% of your annual gross revenue if you are found to be non-compliant. That is in addition to the fact that the regulators can, sorry to use a legal term, institute an action. In other words, take you to court for not protecting people's personal data, and you do not want to find yourself in such situations.
So, but as an individual, can I take someone to court for not processing my personal data properly?
Yes. In this very month, there's been a judgment of the Federal High Court where an individual took a bank to court for wrongful processing of personal data. Significant fines or damages, as we call it, awarded in favor of the individual. So yes, you can.
Yes, so clearly, even beyond, just like you said, even beyond having to comply with government facilities, for the company's own reputation,
definitely,
it's very important that it protects the data of people and use it for the purpose for which it was collected.
Exactly. You don't want to be in the news for the wrong thing. Yes,
right. Thank you so much, Patience, for that. Now let's talk about the new circular. What's it all about?
All right. So the new circular that was issued in February 2024 requires organizations, which we call data controllers and processors of major importance, to register with the regulator, on or before 30th of June 2024. All right. So under the already existing law, we have the obligation of companies to conduct their audit and file their audit report. Okay. But this new circular says these same companies should register with the commission. Yeah, maybe one would want to think that it's the same thing, but well, not quite. Under the new circular, there's a different threshold for companies that are to register. Remember, I mentioned to do your audit, you should have a threshold of about 1,000 data subjects, and you can recall what I said. But under the circular, so long as you process personal data of up to 200 individuals.
Wow. Yes. That's literally everybody.
Basically. You're required to register. And the deadline for this registration is 30th of June.
All right.
So companies need to double up to ensure that they meet this compliance deadline.
And how do companies comply? Because like we said, you said 200 data points. That is when you say data points. So when you say data subject, it's talking about individuals, companies, right?
It's individual.
Yes. So how do companies go ahead to register? What's the process of registering? Is it done online or how do you register?
Oh, yes. Well, we are in a digital age. Okay. So most of government registrations, we always have a portal. So yes, there is a portal for registration. The regulators have thankfully provided a link that they've made public. So we've had organizations, register through the portal. Organizations, also do this, sometimes through their data protection compliance organizations, which are bodies or other organizations that were appointed by the regulator to handle that process, on behalf of companies. So you can reach out to such organizations or, look internally if you have the capacity to be able to file or register as you have it.
Okay. So in a nutshell, data protection is really the new gold. Because the buying and selling of data, is, the big companies of this world, what do they do? They process and sell data, right? So basically data is very important. So beyond the requirements to comply, it's very important that companies protect this data.
Yes.
As well as comply with the regulations in Nigeria. All right. Thank you very much, Patience, for coming. Any last thoughts?
So organizations in Nigeria should ensure to comply with the data privacy laws in Nigeria, because if you do not comply, you are exposing yourself to huge penalties. And you do not need to pay these penalties if you can just easily and simply comply with what the law says you should do. So I think that's all from me.
All right. Thank you, Patience, for being here with us in the Anderson chat room.
Thank you, Amaka, for having me.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of the Anderson chat room. See you next time.